Okay, and we are live. Welcome everyone to this kind of like modern live stream. So we're kind of exploring everything like kind of agentic economies, agents, and most important, like we're speaking with very distinguished kind of like founders, developers, builders, and kind of like believer in this agentic economy, but also like people that are shipping things. And I'm so excited because I think it's one of the first episode that we are reinviting here Kevin on the stream, and the idea here is actually to speak so where we are, how we were, and how things are kind of moving around layer one X app. So it's all about kind of like dexes. But before we actually start, it's a pleasure to have you here, Kevin. Do you want to quickly introduce yourself?
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be back. Yeah, and we apologize for rescheduling, but I am Kevin, the founder of Layer 1X and Quantum Dex. So I started Layer 1X back in 2021 as a PhD project of mine at the University of Western Australia, which is part of the G8, one of the top 100 universities in the world. And for the first 8 months, it was just writing the white paper. So if you read the L1X white paper, which is a 210 pager sleeper document, go for it. But yeah, Layer 1X basically is an Layer 1 protocol that has interoperability baked into the protocol rather than developers wanting to mix and match solutions to go cross-chain. And Quantum Dex has been built on top of Layer 1X, which is a fast Dex. But at the same time, there are certain unique features into it where it's first of its kind in DeFi, letting projects borrow liquidity loans of up to $2 million to list on the protocol without any reserve backed assets. So the projects can give their own token as collateral, borrow liquidity, and start their pool in less than 10 minutes.
Nice, nice, nice. And I mean, before we're diving into kind of like more kind of like age and stuff, like what is the state of like kind of like agentic economies today? Yeah, okay, we were the first time that we spoke was like all the space is kind of like moving so fast. I'm seeing more and more kind of like things on chain and on mainnet now. Like, do you feel kind of like the space is flourishing? There are enough kind of like developer tooling to interact with these things. Where kind of on a higher level do you feel the space is moving or have moved? Yeah.
Yeah, I think, if you ask me at this particular stage, there are very few AI tools that we currently use that integrate into the Web3 infrastructure. And I think AI agents are still a dream, in terms of interacting with smart contracts with the permissioning system. But what I do see in terms of the landscape, sorry, what I do see in terms of the landscape is that, in terms of the bots that go and analyze certain kind of tokens, or it gives you some kind of assumption as to what kind of coins, are worth your attention. I think that has started to take off a little bit. So people are trying to move the AI agentic framework into coin analysis. But at the same time, I think, with quantum Dex as well, we have taken that a step further in not only analyzing the coin but also in trading opportunities. So that's where I see the next move going into. And apart from that, where you analyze the data, the AI agent being analyzing the data and moving into automatic trading strategies, I think we will also see improvements into permissioning systems, because the big elephant over here still is the fact where we will have multiple AI agents segregated into the future. And what about the interoperability of these agents, not only from permissioning perspective but also from the data collection and execution strategies? So there are the whole stack is pretty segregated right now, but I think in the next couple of months or maybe in a year or two, we should see like a strong product leading this space, setting
Yes.
an example of how AI will work with Web3.
I look especially Kevin because agents never sleep, right? So I think like they're definitely like having an adding value, especially I think on the Dex use case, and but trying to also to understand a bit like what you guys kind of like are bringing on the table, what you've been building so far, like how kind of like this Dex kind of like differs from like a traditional. I'm thinking stuff like basically like kind of a Uniswap or like a Pancake swap. I assume is more around interoperability, dexing, agent intelligence DEX, but feel free to also like give some overview and some colors on that.
Yeah, I think, just before that, right? As Bitcoin is not, trying to replace gold, it's trying to replace its limitations. Layer 1x and quantum DEX isn't trying to replace any DEX out there, isn't trying to replace a layer one, but it's trying to replace and add on to its limitations that we currently see. So what we have done is the quantum DEX, allows you to do a certain number of things apart from a few other DEXs. And those are the first one being, the loan model, where more than 68 to 70% of the projects today that list on Uniswap, PancakeSwap list with less than $50,000 up to, in trading in total value. And the problem over there is if you list with less than 25 to $50,000 in total value locked, your chances of survival in 6 months are less than 15%. So when we wanted to build a DEX, we wanted to give an equal footing to projects that have good community, that have good utility, and shouldn't have mercenary capital attached to it with dynamic emissions that we see today that people use to induce liquidity into the pool. So what we have done is we've used AI to analyze the project. We've used AI to analyze the liquidity pools, and the projects can borrow up to $2 million through a self-serving loan dashboard and list on quantum DEX in a matter of minutes. And to add on to that, the moment the project lists on quantum DEX, which is a less than 10-minute process, borrowing liquidity loans, your token is also cross-chain compatible. So people from Solana, Ethereum, Bitcoin can buy your token and also sell out of it rather than you looking for a bridging solution. And I think the third one being, it's as Layer 1x in January, we launched the coin at 15 cents. Today, it's trading at around $20. I think, with the fact that it has been a successful protocol over the last few months, if you look at it, the projects that are listed on the DEX, like we started it 8 weeks ago, and we've got around 24, 25 projects listed. And we've got, quite a bit of tokens. Like one of them is Biscuit, which, shot up 25,000%. There's something called as Xtalk token, which shot up 30,000%. And the people are still holding the coins. So I think it's a strong community backing up, the Layer 1x or, the quantum DEX as well, apart from the two important features which you need, which is how do I list with liquidity? And at the same time, how do I, go in and make my token cross-chain compatible? And our speed is, probably, I wouldn't say better, but even as close as Solana or Arbitrum in terms of transaction execution on the DEX. And I think, what's happening right now is you look at various DEXs, they're coming up with order book method, they're coming up with faster engine, but that does not result into project success. That results into the DEX success. For us, it's the project's success that we are after rather than our own success. So we're not building faster horses, we're building cars or automotive industry for DeFi, and that's the
Yes.
difference that we see.
Nice, nice. And you kind of like mentioned a couple of times the quantum word, quantum DEX, like how this kind of like is there like more around the safety side and how this kind of like practically means for like user or developer out there. Like I was speaking about quantum safe kind of like protocols or what is that exactly?
Yeah. So I remember when I was speaking to you, previously, I was talking about the quantum proofing of the layer one protocol as well. And the good news is we have partnered up with the University of Western Australia, set up a blockchain and quantum lab there, where we are consistently, working bit by bit on making layer 1x quantum proof, because it's a long journey. Like quantum proofing does not only mean you introduce cryptography and now you're quantum safe. What happens between the data being transferred between two different computers? What about the communication? Is that quantum proof or not as well? So there is a huge amount of research that's been going on in the quantum tech side of things. But to top it off, the cross-chain interoperability side as well is built by bridgeless infrastructure on layer 1x, which has processed more than 3+ million transactions. And that's where the security of it comes along with as well, not only from native protocol security, but also from the cross-chain side of it, and us working with UWA to make it quantum resistant in the future. That is also something that we are currently working upon. So right now we are focused upon cross-chain security through Xtalk, which is the bridgeless infrastructure. And in the future, we are consistently working on making it quantum proof as well. And so the name Quantum Dex.
Nice, nice, nice. And I know we don't have so much time. I think you need to jump. But a couple of questions more. Like we always speak about the X fragmentation. Like is there like any way to solve this kind of like this fragmentation problem that most DEXs kind of like face across different chains? You mentioned kind of this interoperability side, but we'd love to know more on that.
Yeah, I think this is a very big problem even in DeFi today, and we are trying to solve this in two different ways, right? So the first way that we are trying to solve this is in a way where, as you list on Layer 1x and Quantum Dex, your token being cross-chain compatible from day one, right? I think over there, you're abstractively solving the fragmentation, saying that I am going to be able to buy this token and exit from any specific chain. I think that's solving it up to an extent. But what we are also working on is a global pool ledger where you will be able to go in and extract the TVL that you have on multiple other dexes, and you will be able to use Quantum Dex as a unified global liquidity pool. So to put it into perspective, if you have listed your coin on Ethereum, if you have listed your coin on Base, on Aerodrome, for example, and Uniswap, or it could be Radium, and you listed on Quantum Dex, the liquidity that you have across Uniswap, Radium and Aerodrome, they are different from Quantum Dex, and the global ledger will let you use that liquidity as if it was only one single pool. So at the moment, we are solving it abstractively by letting users buy into the token. And in the later down the line, the global unified ledger pool will come up, because that is not a feature that you need to get started immediately with. That's a feature that you can add upon if you have more than 2 to 3 different pools as well. So that's a continuity problem that we can solve rather than solving it the moment you have to list.
Nice, nice. It makes sense. So the continuity side. Okay, sounds good. And actually moving on the segment around, you touched on the AI token, AI-based token analyzer, right, into the DEX. Like you want to kind of like break down how, also like kind of technical, how this kind of like token analyzer works. I don't know if you want to share screen or something. Like I want to also understand, like, are we speaking about, like passive analysis, or is actually like actively helping you to kind of like could be trading. You can start setting up kind of like specific like signals or input design or these kind of things. Definitely super interesting on that.
Yeah, I'll share my screen in a minute.
Mhm.
Just to give you an understanding, what we have done is, I think, AI signal analysis is overflooded in the market in terms of, the coin analysis. If you could take a single coin and ask ChatGPT, it would still give you the information. I think the answer over here is, how are we building solutions that add up as a whole in terms of project decision making or user decision making on a layer one protocol. I think that's where the AI analysis comes through. So we have built a pool analyzer, not a token analyzer. We have built a pool analyzer that
Mm,
goes in and analyzes the pool in terms of more than 250 plus metrics. It looks at the liquidity depth, the volume, the price volatility, the holders distribution, the holders quality, trading, volumes over a period of time. And that's number one. So if you are a project that wants to list on Quantum Dex, if you are already listed on any other pool, you can go in there and analyze the token pool. Even the users can do that. But secondly, and I think the most important one over here is, when a project borrows a loan, we wanted to make sure that it is an anti-rug pool. So what we have done is, the AI analyzer goes in, analyzes the pool, and it will go and put a price range as to how the tokens are going to trade in that specific zone. Now, what this does is, if you are a user and you're going in and trading a specific coin, you could be rubbed off completely. But the projects that borrow loan will never be able to rub a project users off, because it's the AI that is telling the pool what pricing it has to maintain for that specific coin. So if the project is trying to dump all the coins, the AI loan analyzer and the model that we have will not let the projects dump the coins as well. So all the pools that have launched with the loan model, they're still trading well. And probably what I'll do is, I'll share my screen and show it to the users as well, which will make more sense.
that's a good idea.
Yeah. Let me know once you can see my screen.
Yes, I can see it. Nice
Okay.
AI loan analyzer.
Yeah. So this is l1xapp.com. It's a one-stop solution. If you want to go in and try out trading, you want to go in and list your tokens. Every information about Layer 1x is here. So you can go in here. You can go to the AI loan analyzer, and if you see one of the token I have already analyzed, you can go in and add any token, like search for a token or pool address over here. But once you do that, it will go in and analyze. And you see, this is wrapped XRP and WETH. It's giving a liquidity score, volatility, trading volume, social sentiment as well. And it is explaining to the user what their trading strategy could be. But the same trading strategy, if this pool was deployed on the quantum text, the AI would use that trading strategy to understand with these numbers what kind of price range do I need to set for that specific liquidity as well. And from here, if you have a project that's listed on Uniswap and you want to borrow a loan, you can go in and you can borrow up to a certain amount based on what risk analysis the project has done for you. Now, this is the loan analyzer. We also have a token builder, and one of the beauty about this token builder or even the swap over here is it's a gas-free experience. So if you do not have the L1X native coin and you get in there, you've got Ethereum, you've got BNB, you can go in there and you can start trading on quantum text without paying any gas fee as well, right? Um, so this is our swap where you can go in and swap into multiple different networks. So let's say you wanted to go in and trade, you go and swap your token into WL1X. Once you go in there, you go to the quantum portal. And this is where, all these projects that we have, for example, a high TVL means more than $10,000 worth of pools are in here. Less than $10,000 worth of pool are over here. So if you see, these projects have taken the loan, and if you see, most of them are trading above the listing price, and these are real users trading every day, buying the coins. There's a token that's Biscuit, for example, has gone up by more than 27, almost 27,000%, right? And if you see, there are people buying in over here consistently, like there are buyers over here consistently. So these are very active pools. Now, there are some of the tokens over here. For example, Audit Smart has taken the loan and is still trading about the listing price. There are other pools over here as well, which have not taken the loans. And they are, if you see, they are below the listing price. So the loan model actually that we have introduced is a straightforward process. If you want to list, you go and mint your token. You can go and create a pool straight away from here and borrow the loan amount in this specific process. So everything is already there. We have a TVL, for example, we launched 8 weeks ago. We've already got around 1.5 million TVL in there. Our goal is to go above, 25, 30 million TVL by the end of the year as well. So each and everything has been thought of, pretty well, has been thought of in a way that is going to help a project launch, because a layer one's goal should be for projects to launch in a way where it solves their problems that they face today, right? And liquidity is one of the problem. Cross-chain compatibility is one of the problem. And at the same time, being able to not get lost into the infrastructure, or you launch your coin on Uniswap, your coin gets lost, right? It's like the Uber example, where before you went on Uber to find new restaurants, but now you go in there because you know about the restaurant, right? So that's the effect that projects can have on quantum DEX today. And in the future, we are also working on something called as an AI agentic framework, which is what my PhD is on as well. My current PhD that I'm currently doing, the second one, is on, which is our goal is to build signals and reinforcement models where users will be able to go in, set their risk appetite, and it will allow the users to set trading strategies. And this AI agent will be cross-chain compatible as well. So if you wanted to go in and, for example, sell your Aave token or borrow some liquidity of your Aave loan and buy a quantum text token, you could do that. Second one, it could also mean that a website integrating the AI agent SDK will not even have to let you perform certain manual actions. They could also use the AI agentic model to have prompt-based actions onto the smart contract. So it's a generic smart contract interaction tool that we are building through the AI agent model, where Quantum Dex is going to be its first customer, but then any other Dex out there, any other DeFi or gaming product will also be able to use that cross-chain agentic AI.
Nice, nice. It makes totally sense. And I think I'm also thinking and a bit scared around kind of like limitation specifically, like, and I understand that also you have all this kind of like AI based pooling analyzer. Like, what is your kind of like perspective, like risk or limitation of using kind of like AI in token pool discovery and analysis?
Yeah, I think it's like it's like a co-pilot, right? I like to call it the co-pilot, not the autopilot. So I think as the co-pilot, one of the biggest limitations is the indexing of the database and the speed of it. For example, today Web3's database across multiple different chains is not as fast as it would be in Web2. So I think we have our native indexer that we use in layer 1x to index all this data and store it there and then go and analyze. The second one could be front running attacks that you see, by the time the AI gets the data, analyzes, it could have front run. So I think smart contract modules, like we are coming up with something called as mini contracts. These mini contracts basically are going to work with smart contracts so that the gap between Web 2 and Web 3 is huge, meaning that by the time the data goes into Web 3, it's already too late. So these mini contracts will act as intermediary between the Web2 database and Web3 smart contracts to push and pull the data as and when required. So your main smart contract is not, interacting with the Web2 database at all points in time. But on the third one, of course, it's a completely new way of looking at it. Till today, the DeFi fragmentation problem has not been solved. The AI agents are being introduced. I think the way I kind of look at it is, if you have fragmentation, and if you have, a project that's in the woods that's not being looked at, the AI agent has the ability to go and find such low value projects as well. But at the same time, there are risks associated to that. But as long as the user decides what risks he's okay with, and the AI agent model, goes in and rates, I think that's where, I think the direction of it will move from co-pilot to an autopilot. So we got to put
Mm,
it on
makes
co-pilot
sense.
first.
You kind of like also answered a bit like, and we need to kind of close up, like, vision specific, right? Like moving from kind of like a more passive to an autopilot kind of self-served kind of like decks. So where do you see kind of like, the decks going in the next months? But I think most important is, where the kind of like, decks architecture um, roadmap in general is going, right? Like what is when we're speaking about DeFi 3.0, real fi, like what this means, where we want to see this going, and we also need to maintain ourselves a bit practical. So let's not speak about in 2 years. Let's speak about 3 to 6 months. I saw Aave also crossed the I think 60 billion TVL. So DeFi is getting through institutional adoption as we speak. And yeah, I just want to know more a bit where you think we're going here.
Yeah, I think the combination we do have is the visionary practicality, right? Practical visionary. So I think if you look at the number of Dexes today, right? Most of them that have come up, they've come up, where there is some kind of different, either a liquidity engine or a trading engine behind it, or the other category is the way the emission schedules work, like how the emission schedules work. I think we are positioning, in the long run, we are positioning Quantum Dex to be the go-to launch pad in terms of, projects wanting to list, go cross-chain, and at the same time, use the AI agentic model that we are building. But by the end of the year, our goal is to be at 30 to, 25 to $30 million in TVL over a couple of hundred projects listed on there. But what is important as well is that the DEX engine that we are building is not around the trading, it's around the ability of how AI agents are going to be integrated into the trading strategy. So I think that model, including with the current cross-chain infrastructure that we have, is a perfect combination to enter into 2025, saying that this is the benchmark that we want to set in terms of exchanges as to how AI agents and cross-chain infrastructure need to work together. It could be solving problems of fragmentation. That's number one. It could be solving problems of finding low value pools as an investment driver and users using the quantum dex, or it could also be where other dexes are using the liquidity management feature that we currently have, um, to kind of increase the TVL in the global liquidity pool. So it won't be in a case where let's just list on quantum text for the sake of increasing a number of listing, but let's list on quantum text because our global liquidity pool, once the DeFi fragmentation problem is solved, our TVL goes up as well. And as much as I would say this is enough in foresight, but I think in the next 6 months, we should be in a comfortable position setting a benchmark as to how AI, the loan management, and the DEX could work together for other DEXs to maybe even integrate with.
Yes, yes, yes. I mean, we definitely need a part three because we didn't speak about loan management and kind of like, the record on that. But it's super interesting what you guys are building, especially the agentic side. And I mean, I don't know, I don't remember when we spoke the last time, but I think like you guys kind of like also like spiked up the shipping. You already showed me like kind of like something very concrete here that is usable. And I think distribution and product shipping is key right now in
Yeah.
DeFi. So yeah, I mean, Kevin, any last words here you want to add before we're closing up?
Yeah, I think, the way I look at it, like, for example, if you had to launch your mother AI token, right, what would you do? Like, you'd go on Uniswap, PancakeSwap, Aerodrome, Velodrome. Well, I mean, you pick your choice and the process is same. But you first thing you would have to do is get your liquidity. How do I let users buy it? I think these are the two core problems, and people get excited by fad. We get excited by making our fundamentals strong. And at Quantum Dex, that's what we are doing. So I'm pretty sure that if you launched your token, it'll be very successful on Quantum Dex. But that being said, I think our goal and our vision in the next 6 months is to make sure that we get 25 to $30 million in TVL on the Dex, a couple of hundred projects. But more important than that, setting a benchmark in terms of how people are going to see AI agents working with the Dex, and how these projects thinking about launching from now on, they kind of feel there is no other alternative than quantum Dex, rather than increasing the TVL that they can have on their pool. And the beauty about it is, the stock infrastructure and layer 1x infrastructure is so vast and so wide that you could build cross-chain applications. That could be, it could be a social media app that is integrated with the loan model onto the DEX as a global unified liquidity pool, where you would have to patch 8, 10 different solutions to come to the magic that L1X and Quantum DEX provides. So I think that decision-making factor will be reduced over a period of time for people that look for a complete solution in Web3 rather than patching it up. And that's where we are positioning Quantum DEX as well.
Nice, nice. Sounds good. Yeah, I love the exclusive word. I mean, thank you so much, Kevin. Also, like, feel free to also send over like some links. I think we will share it also post this live stream. And thanks everyone. There is a lot of like interesting comments here. Like user final cross chain. Dexing is looking good. So I mean, there is a lot of like different things, and we have a lot of good interaction. So, Kevin, again, thank you so much. Looking forward to have maybe another chat around where also like these agentic economies are going, especially on the DeFi side, and keep building. It's great to have this discussion around the ecosystem that are more practical. So, thank you so much,
Yeah.
everyone, to listening. Thank you so much, Kevin.
Thanks for
See you
having me.
guys.
Thank you.
See you guys.